The rain on Harlan 9 was a constant mist, fine droplets drifting through the neon glare of the city's upper levels and dripping down into the slums below. It clung to skin, scales, and fur alike, chilling anyone without shelter. In those alleys, where refuse piled high and exhaust vents belched oily steam, a young alien girl crouched, trembling. Her name was Sira, a Vayari. Once her people had been merchants, wanderers of star lanes. But on this human-dominated colony, she was nothing more than a beggar. Hunger gnawed her stomach until even her thin frame seemed too heavy to carry. She pressed her forehead against her knees, the faint glow of her bioluminescent markings flickering weakly with her fading strength. Her last meal had been 2 days ago, a discarded ration bar she found in the gutter. Tonight, she knew, she would collapse if she didn't find food. The scent hit her first. Not the sour stench of oil or decay, but warm bread, roasted meat, simmering spices. It drifted out of a narrow doorway, lit in amber light. Her chest tightened. Instinct made her crawl closer, though shame burned in her heart.
She peered in.
Inside, a human stood over a stove, ladle moving in steady rhythm. His arms were thick, his frame broad, and his face lined with where that came from years of hard work. Steam curled around him as if the kitchen were his battlefield. Sira's breath caught. Her throat convulsed. She hadn't begged in days. Too many doors had been slammed in her face. Too many kicks had taught her silence. But desperation clawed harder than pride. She stepped in. Please," she whispered, her voice cracking. Do you have scraps?" The man turned. His eyes narrowed, then softened when he saw her skeletal form, the trembling hands clutching at her ribs. For a moment he said nothing. Then he sighed, set down the ladle, and beckoned. "Come in, kid. Sit before you fall." She blinked. No one called her kid. No one told her to sit. Warily she obeyed. The warmth of the kitchen wrapped around her like a forgotten memory. The man slid a bowl across the counter. Thick stew, golden broth glistening, vegetables and meat floating within.
"Eat," he said.
Her hands shook so violently she almost spilled it, but when she tasted the first spoonful, her entire body quivered. Heat spread down her chest, into her stomach, until tears streamed from her glowing eyes. She tried to stop, tried to eat slowly, but her body betrayed her. She devoured every bite until the bowl was clean. The man leaned on the counter, watching. "Name's Elias. I run this place." She lowered the bowl, ashamed of her greed. "Sira," she whispered. Elias crossed his arms. "You homeless?" "Yes." "Family?" She shook her head. "Not here." He exhaled through his nose, eyes narrowing as though weighing a choice. Then he pointed to a stack of dirty pans by the sink. "You wash those, you eat again tomorrow. Deal?" Her heart nearly stopped.
A job.
Not just scraps. Not just pity. A chance. "Yes," she said, voice shaking. "Yes, I'll work." The days of work. At first, she was clumsy. The pans were heavy. The soap stung her hands. She slipped, spilled, even burned her forearm on a pot. Each mistake made her flinch, waiting for the blow that never came. Elias only muttered, "Careful," and showed her again. By the second week, she knew the rhythm of the kitchen. When the bread needed turning, when the stew needed stirring, when the customers poured in. She scrubbed floors, hauled crates, peeled vegetables until her fingers ached. But every night she ate until her belly was warm, and every morning Elias gave her a nod, as if to say, "You still belong here." One evening, as the last customers left and the lights dimmed, Elias dropped into a chair with a grunt. He watched Sira wipe the tables. You've been through hell, haven't you? He asked quietly. She froze, cloth in hand. Her markings flickered nervously. How do you know? Because you jump at shadows. Because you eat like you're afraid it'll vanish. And because I've seen too many kids chewed up by this city. He leaned forward, elbows on knees. But you're tougher than you look. You want to stay? You can, long as you're willing to work. Her throat closed. No one had ever given her permanence.
No one had said she could stay.
Yes, she whispered. I want to stay. Trouble brews. Word spread. A Vayari girl working in a human kitchen. Some customers sneered, muttering about keeping aliens where they belong. One night, 3 drunken traders refused to pay, shoving Sarah when she brought their meals. Elias was across the room in 2 strides. His hand slammed down on the table, rattling plates. His voice was thunder. You touch my staff again and you're out. You hear me? The traders laughed until Elias lifted one by the collar, muscles like steel, and hurled him against the wall. Chairs scraped. Silence fell. The men staggered out, cursing, but they didn't return. Sarah stared, stunned. No one had ever defended her. Later, when the doors were locked, she whispered, Why did you do that? Because you work here, Elias said simply. And I take care of my own. Her chest ached with something unfamiliar, safety, the gift of cooking. Weeks became months. One evening, Elias handed her a small knife. Cut these onions, he said. She fumbled at first, but he guided her hands, showing her the motion. Gradually she learned to dice, stir, season. The scents of garlic, pepper, herbs filled her senses until her hunger became joy. For the first time in years, food wasn't just survival. It was creation. One night, she timidly offered Elias a bowl she had made herself, spiced broth with roasted tubers. He tasted, chewed slowly, then nodded. Not bad. Too much salt, but not bad. Her heart soared. The storm outside. But the city was cruel. One evening, officials stormed in, 2 armored enforcers and a bureaucrat with a sneer. Alien labor without permit, the bureaucrat declared, pointing at Sarah. Violation of trade law. She comes with us. Sarah froze, blood turning to ice. All her work, all her safety, about to vanish. Elias stepped forward, jaw tight.
She's staff.
She earns her meals. That's legal. Not without permit, the bureaucrat snapped. Unless you pay her way, she's contraband. Sarah's chest collapsed. She couldn't ask that of him. It cost more than her life was worth. She whispered, I'll go. Don't fight. But Elias's hand gripped her shoulder like iron. No, he said. She stays. He pulled out his credit chip, slamming it onto the counter.
Take it.
That covers her permit, and then some. The bureaucrat blinked, then sneered. Fool. But he scanned the chip, took the credits, and left with his guards. Sarah turned, trembling.
Why?
That was too much. I'm not worth. Don't ever say that, Elias interrupted. His eyes burned like fire. You're worth every damn credit. You're my apprentice now. Her vision blurred. For the first time in her life, someone had bought her freedom not to own her, but to keep her safe. A new future. The years rolled on. Sarah grew stronger, taller, her once dim markings glowing bright with health. She learned every secret of the kitchen, every spice and recipe. Customers no longer sneered. They lined up for her dishes, calling them exotic, brilliant.